Moderated by my dear colleague Leana Kammertöns. Leana is export advisor in North Germany. And her everyday job is to deal with Estonian export managers and German purchasing managers. Please, Leana, I would give it over to you now.
Thank you, Karin. Hello from me too. Thank you for the kind introduction. I would say very shortly some words about my person. For those who don't know me yet, I'm located in Berlin, in the capital city of Germany, at the Embassy of Estonia, and I joined the Enterprise Estonia team last year. So I've been living in Germany for more than 20 years already, and I'm now very happy to help Estonian and German companies to build new contacts and initiate cooperation projects, because I see a lot of potential on both sides. As Karin said, Germany is one of the most important target markets for Estonian companies, and Germany is the 5th biggest trade partner for Estonia. And some of our sectors are very export oriented, such as machinery and metalworking and electronics, but also other sectors. And the reason is that Estonia is a very small country. And so the market volume is very limited here. And for this reason, it's very important to understand what are the expectations of the German industrial companies to their suppliers, and how can long-term business partnerships be established? What things must be considered? How to become an industrial supplier for a German company? And these are the questions we are dealing today. So I'm very happy to introduce you our two speakers who will explain us how purchasing works in German companies. Our first speaker is Mr. Patrick Frings, Head of Purchasing for Product-Related Material and Global Sourcing at CLAAS company in the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. Hello, Mr. Frings. Very happy to have you here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Leana. Yeah, warm welcome to everybody here. Yeah, so my name is Patrick Frings. I'm 44 years old, living here in Münster. That's roughly 50 kilometers away from my office here in Hasewinkel in the northern part of Germany, so-called company CLAAS. I'm living here with my daughter and my wife and traveling in normal times. So when we don't have Corona, every day these 50 kilometers to the office, to this great facility which you see here in backhand. So this is a picture out of our facility, you can say also out of our corporate offices which we have here. So yeah, warm welcome to you. I appreciate it to give you a rough insight what we are doing at CLAAS, especially in purchasing, and for sure perhaps I can give you some hints for a general approach in the German industry sector where we are participating.
Yes, thank you very much. Mr. Frings has really very wide experience about purchasing processes. And we are happy that you share this experience with us today. Our second speaker will be Mr. Martin Sutrop, the CEO of Tech Group. Hello, Martin.
Hi, yeah, thank you for having me.
Yes, very nice that you are here too. Tech Group has many years of experience in exporting to Germany already. I've seen about 60 to 70% of your production go to Germany, actually. You will share your experience with the German purchases from the Estonian perspective, and that's great opportunity to benefit from your practical knowledge with German companies. These are our two speakers. And you have, as participants, you have also, of course, the possibility to ask the questions. Please use the Q&A button for that. You will find it on your screen below. You can put your questions there all the time, and we will take one or two after each presentation, and all other ones then at the end of the session, in the discussion part, we'll have time to discuss about several questions concerning purchasing processes. One more thing, we are recording this event too, so you will have the possibility to watch it once more after the event if you have missed some details, or and we will also send you the slides after the event per email. So I think that was all from my side. We can start. Yes. Mr. Frings, please start to share your screen. The screen is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So hopefully everybody can see my screen. Then I would directly like to start. Yeah, so perhaps firstly, I give you a general impression about our company itself. I think some of you already know CLAAS. We are one of the biggest 5 manufacturers for agricultural machinery, but I'm pretty sure that some of you also had perhaps an idea about the brand name of CLAAS, but not a clear idea about the company itself. So therefore, a rough introduction, and then I would like to go into our purchasing processes and so on to give you a rough understanding and some kind of framework for your questions or further discussions. So yeah, here just in a nutshell to see where we are currently. So in 2020, we have roughly a revenue of 4 billion euros. So this spend, I have to say, this revenue is more or less a success story out of our global business. So we are not just acting here in Germany. We'll see it on the further slides. We are global acting companies. In the background of the slide, you can see this colored map, world map, and you can say in each of these colored countries, so which are yellow, green, or dark green, CLAAS is available. So that means in the darker ones we have production sites, and in the yellow, in the other green colored regions we have at least sales offices. So we are more or less completely present across over the world. You can see it here. We have roughly 80.1% share in international business. So that means, yeah, we are producing a lot of our stuff here in the European countries. We will see it. But at least 80% of our success story is based on customers which are located across over the world in international regions. So currently, yeah, we are around 11,000 employees here. So that's the reason why we say, okay, we are a bigger mid-sized company. So perhaps we are not the smallest ones with a few hundred employees, but on the other side, we are also not in the range of Mercedes-Benz or some other well-known companies. So fully 100% owned by the family CLAAS. So here you can see our shareholder, chairperson, that's Katrina Klaas-Mühlhäuser. She took over the entire responsibility at the beginning of this year because her father died in January this year. He was one of the, let's say, main entrepreneurs which brought CLAAS to the level which we see on today to be a global player in ag business. So we are more than 100 years old now as a company, and as I said, completely family owned. So yeah, in this region, I think one of the last companies in Germany with 4 billion euros revenue, just family owned. So giving you a rough impression what we are doing. So on the upper left side, you can see the combine harvesters. So CLAAS is the most famous combine producer across over the world. So the main market shares in the main target regions for such kind of machinery belongs to CLAAS. So the reason for is that we started our success story in a premium segment. And in this range, we had really huge success, and it enables us to enlarge our product range during the last years and bring it also to the smaller segments of combine harvesters which are more linked to business areas like India or China, for instance, where you don't have these big farms, you have smaller ones, and so on. So on today, we have more or less a complete range of combine harvesters fitting for nearly every requirement which you can see across the world, from wheat harvesting to rice harvesting, so everything is possible. So on the right side here, in the upper line, you can see the forage harvester. So there we have, in this segment, we have roughly 50% of the global market share. That's a specific niche market, I have to say. So perhaps all in all, the market has, let's say, 5,000 units all in all, because it's really specific. It's for grass harvesting in a wider meaning. But for this machinery, you can earn really good margins on. So that's an essential part of our business. It's a niche market on the one side, but on the other side, it's so specific that you can really have good margins on, and this is necessary to provide the cash flow required for our R&D developments for the future. For sure, then we have the tractor segment. So the origin of the tractor business is Renault Agriculture. So we bought out of Renault company group in the 80s, the tractor business segment, owned it 100%. During the last years, we established on base of this facility, which is located in France, in Le Mans. We developed our own tractor series, which you can see here in this small picture. And then in addition, we have for sure all the other stuff which you normally need for harvesting. So we have also balers, we have also wheel loaders or telescopic loaders, which become more famous and because of a new economy in agriculture business. So if you have biogas facilities, for instance, then you need such kind of stuff. So and what is upcoming now for sure is Industry 4.0. So in our products, we have to say we need all of these new technologies. So we need telematics, we need new software tools, we need farm management, which provides some additional second services, second usage for our farmers, which are using our machinery. So it's not all about the machine itself, it's about the question in which way you can do harvesting most efficient. And in this context, we are trying to develop the relevant products. And our success story started with a small application called Notter. So that's for a high bundling, a small application. And then we grow through the combine harvesting production. And now we become more digital and getting also digital products like software solutions for farm management and something like that. So here on the next slide, you can see just our production sites, which is also relevant for us here in purchasing. So I'm responsible for the purchasing department for the product-related material, as Leana already explained. And for these sites, you can see here on the map, we need our stuff to produce our products. So in Germany, it's the origin of our success story, also the region of our corporate office where I'm located. We have for sure Hasewinkel site, we have Dissen, that's for our electronical systems. We have in Paderborn an own facility with 800 employees for specific core competences like Excel systems, trans Excels and something like that. Also for transmissions they are producing for us. Then we have in France the tractor business unit. In Le Mans, the facility. In Vélizy, there's the office. For the baler business, we have a facility in Metz. So Hungary, there we are producing such kinds of specific applications which we are using for our combines. And then we have Russia, China, India for specific combine applications which are let's say specific requirements in this market. In Russia, I have to say it's more or less the same product portfolio which is requested in the Western Europe region. In China and in India, we are more focusing on rice harvesting. So yeah, it dedicates to the region where you are. USA is a little bit interesting. That was in former times a 50-50 joint venture with Caterpillar company. So this big construction and company. Yeah, the origin was some synergies. We needed a production site in the USA, and on the other side, Caterpillar wanted to participate in the egg business with one specific, Caterpillar with one specific application which they had in this times in their product portfolio. So these are our production sites. On the right side, you can see some impressions about it. So perhaps for the one or the other, interesting how it looks like. So the site where I'm located here has 400,000 square meters production site. It's the biggest combined facility across over the world. So also John Deere or Echo, for instance, which are our main competitors, having such a big site. So normally on today, you are looking for smaller specific sites with a specific production concept for the specific application. So because this year is our origin of the company, we grow by year on this side and developed our business in foreign countries across around these competence center, you can say. So now coming to our purchasing organization, which is in your interest, I think, if you wanna think about potential business with a company like us, or perhaps I can say with companies in Germany with a similar setup as we are having. So perhaps in general, hint to you for those who haven't established some business with German companies. So normally, I would say in German companies up to a range of, let's say, 1,000, 1,500 employees. Normally, the purchasing department is more focusing on procurement. So getting the right stuff right on time for a good price for sure. But it's about procurement, getting the stuff to the production to fulfill your production plan. When you are coming to companies which are in a range of 1,000, 1,500 above employees, then I have to say the purchasing organization becomes more professional. That means they are not taking just care about the procurement. Then you can also directly say they are focusing on strategic purchasing. They are trying to find the best sourcing markets, which are the most efficient sourcing regions for your company. Then sometimes you have established a lead buyer concept, for instance, and also some specific purchasing processes for supplier selection and also supplier qualification. If you want to participate in the business for the smaller companies, then my personal hint would be, I think it is a good choice to try to find a channel to the technology guys, to the R&D of these smaller companies. If you are coming to these bigger companies like we are, then normally there's no chance to go directly to the R&D, to the technicians, because then everything is normally linked to the purchasing organization. It's forbidden for technicians to do direct business or supplier awardings without the purchasing department. So then the direct contact for every supplier is via the purchasing organization. Here you can see our organization on this slide. So on the first point of view, you have to understand that we are a commodity group purchasing department. So that means we have clustered 18 different commodities. You can see it here on the left side. In the lower left edge, you can see that we are buying, for instance, bearings. We are buying power pack components like diesel engines. In this context, we are cooperating with famous companies like Daimler-Benz, but also with Cummins from the United States, for instance. We are also buying engines from a Chinese supplier for local requirements and so on. Then we have the powertrain that is all about axle systems, transmissions, gearboxes, drivelines. That means mechanical gearboxes, electrics, electronics. It's separated. So under electrics, we understand some kind of cables, for instance, or lighting, which we need for our machinery. Electronics then is really the stuff for control units, displays, and such things. Hydraulic systems, for sure, we need all the stuff for the working hydraulic, but also for hydrostatic ground drive applications. Also with some electronic control, so with software solutions also. So this is some kind of system purchasing, I have to say. Then machined, unmachined parts. This is self-explaining, I think. Cabin is a business, so we are buying, we are producing our own cabins, but all of the interior, like seats, steering wheels, steering rods, and such stuff is our demand. Tires and rims, weldments, steel, plastics, and all the other stuff. So that means, all in all, I said 4 billion euros revenue per year. And here you see my responsibility. So I'm responsible for a purchase volume on a yearly base of roughly 1.5, 1.6 billion euros per year, which is spread across over these different commodities you can see here. In addition, for sure, it's not everything is product related. We need also some non-product related material. So that means supporting services like logistics, for instance, or also labor services, or also mobile phones, company cars, and all this stuff. So this is our commodity setup on the one side. So, and in which way we are acting with it is a matrix organization. So you have in every of these production sites, you saw one slide before, you have an own purchasing department who's taking care about the special demands and requests and necessities for the order fulfillment production plan for the dedicated facility in this region. On the other side, we need some kind of synergies, right? So, and in this context, we have an established lead buyer organization. So these lead buyers are directly linked to me. So they are not sitting close to me. They are sitting across over the world in the different production sites. And each of these lead buyers is taking care about one commodity. And in this commodity, he tries to find the best strategic setup. So which is the appropriated supplier panel? What is the appropriated sourcing region? And so on. And he's not doing it just on his own. He is leading, you can say, some kind of project team, a cross-functional team setup. So you have the profit team leader as the lead buyer. Then you have a lead engineer who's trying to build the clamp, cross over all special requirements of the dedicated different entities, production sites. You have a lead quality. So these guys, and a lead production for sure. So these four guys are, let's say, the core team of our profit team organization. But as extended participants in these teams, you have also the single purchaser who is sitting in the facility, Hasewinkel, for instance, or in Hungary, and so on. So it's an, you can say a cross-functional team setup, which is spread over our a global purchasing organization, and also with the participation of our cross-functional colleagues here out of the engineering, quality, and production. So they are setting up the strategy, and they are also then reflecting who are the right suppliers, who might be a right supplier for the future for us, what's the setup of our supplier panel for the one or the other commodity. So do I need 5 suppliers or do I need 8 suppliers for the future? Should I stick just to global acting suppliers, or should I go directly for local specific suppliers? Because we don't see global demand for the CLAAS group, less synergies. So most efficient might be direct contact from the Indian facility to an Indian supplier. No chance for global business with CLAAS, but specific usage of local demands and requirements. So that's also in my responsibility when it comes to global sourcing. So this is also something you can find in bigger purchasing organizations in bigger companies in Germany. And I have to say, that's not just Germany. So we are a global acting company. I think I can say that's cross over the world for global players. It's always the same setup. So you have a purchasing organization who are taking care about the procurement stuff. So just operative purchasing. Then normally everybody is looking for synergies. Then you need some kind of lead buyer organization. So we call it at CLAAS profit team organization, which is led by the lead buyers. Some other companies are calling it commodity management or category management, cluster management. Finally, it's all about strategic purchasing, where you try to find synergies between the different demands of different production sites which you have in the company group. If you want to go global, then normally you have to consider the cost acceptance, the acceptable price level of your customers in the dedicated regions. And that's exactly the same for us here in CLAAS. So that means also we are getting additional stress in our purchasing organization because I have to purchase on a really efficient way. Otherwise, we are producing at high costs, but with less price acceptance at our end customer end. So that means we have to go across the border, and not just with our business, also with our purchasing activities. And for this, we have a dedicated global sourcing purchasing organization. So all in all, these are at the moment 21 purchasers which are reporting to me. I have to say there are 3 direct reports because 21 persons in 3 teams. One is located in Hungary for the extended Eastern Europe region. So you can see it. And for this, I have to say, we are also considering Estland in this region. What's the definition? I will explain to you. We have one team in India and we have one team in China. So what's about the definition of global sourcing at CLAAS? So if you would like to do your own exam on it, then you can find in some literature, in the internet and so on, you can find different definitions. So you could also say, out of a German perspective, everything which is purchase activities cross the border, so outside Germany, could be global sourcing, considered as global sourcing. Here within CLAAS, we are defining it a little bit different. We are saying we are going across the border and want to do some kind of global sourcing because we are looking for enlarged cost efficiency. So, and the biggest lever which you can find across over the world still on today is the labor cost. So that means you can still see in the globalized economy really big differences in the labor costs. And we at CLAAS said we are defining an internal hurdle of 33% lower than the benchmark of labor cost Germany. So with this definition, we are screening every 5 years. It's a so-called business case period. We are screening the global markets. And then we are looking which country has an average cumulated labor cost level, which is 33% lower than the level which we see in Germany. So for instance, I just rechecked it here for your region where you are based. Currently, we see cumulated, on base of my figures, which I have on hand, roughly 17 euros labor cost per hour for blue stuff, so for typical workers in the industry segment. In Germany, we are around 50 euros per hour. So that means in our definition, your region is more than 60%, 66%, 67% lower than we in Germany. So, and then that offers us a general perspective that we think we can find really efficient suppliers in your region and also in the other regions across the world where we see this less labor cost impacts. The other stuff, what you have in your economics out of productivity, this is normally linked to your machinery and so on, right? And you can find robotics cross over the world. So you can also find a specific logistics or supply chain concept cross over the world. The main differentiator when it comes to production costs is normally the labor cost at the moment. So, and therefore we are screening the map every 5 years with this logic. And then we are saying, hey, this and that country seems to be really interesting for us. Let's take this country into a focus. And on base of that, we are clustering some regions. And at the moment, on base of our last business case definition, we have here extended Eastern Europe as one region covered by one team. We have India as a focus market, as one target region for global sourcing activities, and one team is located in China, also for one of our focus regions in global sourcing. So this is about our logistic concept. So I just put this slide in because I think might be interesting for you in which way we are doing our business. So here you can see we are accepting different currencies. So if it comes to a European business with European suppliers, normally we want to act in euros for sure. If we are going across the border in Eastern countries like India and China, then we are normally doing our contractings in US dollars. So perhaps what's really interesting for you might be that we are normally considering Ex Works and FCA as Incoterms, because we are doing also the contracting of our logistic partners. So if you have a widespread production site concept as we are having, then for sure you need a really good steered and controlled inbound logistic process. So, and that's the reason why CLAAS said we want to have it on our own. We want to have it completely under control, and therefore we want to close the contracts with the logistics partners on our side. Then our suppliers can use the one or the other dedicated logistic partner where we negotiated and bundled our logistic volumes to the most efficient pricing level. So that means Ex Works and FCA is our preferred Incoterm. So for packaging in the European region, sometimes and in many cases we are doing the packaging via returnables. So that means we are defining a specific packaging and we are sending it to you, and then you can use this packaging. You can use our logistic contractors, and then we are getting the stuff in our specific racks and so on, which are suitable in our production sites. If we are going to containers, so like we need it for shipments out of India and China, then normally it's wooden packaged in this context. We have no returnables. Then we have some kind of additional logistic step to do. We have an inbound storage nearby a harbor, and then we need an additional logistic step where we have packing, repacking, and packing to our specific purposes, which is then fitting to our production requirements. So if you want to become partner of CLAAS, to become a supplier of CLAAS, and I have to say, for companies in this size, it's everywhere the same. Perhaps it's a little bit typical German. So as you know, so sometimes we are a little bit administrative. I think we are flexible, but out of a foreign perspective, I'm pretty sure some people are saying we are administrative and perhaps not so fluid. And sometimes you are right. So here you can see one specific process which we are using. So we have the different entities. We have a purchasing organization with more than 220 purchasers. So as I explained to you, so just in my responsibility, I have to take care about 1.6 billion euros per year with 18 lead buyers. Then behind these lead buyers, these extended teams with different purchasers. And then I have 21 global sourcers in my direct responsibility. So therefore, you may understand that in this size of company, it's not possible to have direct contract on a daily basis with each and every potential supplier. But on the other side, we are interested in getting in touch with potential interesting suppliers, especially with those who are not known by us. And for this, we have here established a supplier application on our CLAAS homepage. Here, this is just a screenshot. So you can also register there and can raise your hand and can say, hey, I'm interested in having some business with you. And here I'm dropping you the informations which are relevant for, let's say, some kind of first analysis, if there is, from our perspective, a general fitting. So I know that some partners initially are thinking, hey, okay, then I'm dropping here a lot of information and nothing happens. Sometimes you have to wait a long time. So that's for sure. That's also here in our system. But on the other side, I can say to you that at CLAAS, so I don't know in which way other companies are acting, but at CLAAS, there's a ticket system behind. So if you are dropping your informations into the system, then the responsible lead buyer finally gets automatically a note, and he has to answer as a question: is the supplier in general interesting, or is there no general fit to our general requirements? So in backend, what is not directly visible to you, and first assessment is starting if there is a general fit, yes or not. So it's not just you are just putting in your information and then it's forgotten and it's just in our database and nobody takes cares about it. So I can say to you, no, at CLAAS, we have a really dedicated approach and defined process behind it. It's an internal ticket system, and somebody has to take care that there isn't a first assessment and that you will get a first feedback if in general there might be a possibility for a partnership. So this is our supplier portal here. Here you can see we have some KO criteria here on the left side of the slide. It's not too much. So if you have a look in other companies and other criteria, then you directly have 20 KO criteria or something like that. So here we just have few. So we want to have a certification for sure. So which explains that your quality level, your production level is on an appreciated level. What we for sure also need is some kind of ERP system. So we need some kind, it must not be mandatory SAP, for instance, but something like an ERP system which provides some interfaces to our systems to process the production plans, delivery plans, and so on, is a must from our side. On the right side, you see a little bit more extended which criteria we are looking for. So left side, just the KO criteria. If these are not positive, then you will directly getting by the system an answer, hey, sorry supplier or potential partner, in general, your current business setup is not fitting to our business approach. Please recheck perhaps in the next years if you can bring your business on another level. On the right side, you see on the top line again the criteria, KO criteria, but there are a lot of other criteria which we are asking in this supplier application form. So I don't want to bore you on this morning, go through all of these criteria line by line, but for sure there must be a general fit of your product and product portfolio, production portfolio to our requirements. So a fit form function. Where are you located? Is your location appropriated for our business approach? What's about your communication model? So do you have a dedicated key account manager or a sales guy? Can also be the head of sales who takes care about a German company, or let's say company class in this context, so that we have a clear context which we can use, and all this other stuff behind these questionnaires. So I think this slide, similar one, perhaps you or some of you already see it in other companies. So normally in purchasing, you are saying we are looking for QCD, so quality, costs, delivery. So these are the three letters, main letters in purchasing, well known since several years. So every purchasing department says, yeah, for sure. So a good supplier provides good quality in context of QCD fulfillment. We have a little bit extended this logic by innovation and motivation. So in the innovation, this is an assessment which is done by our R&D department, by the colleagues who are trying to evaluate what is your technical competence and in which way it fits to our product requirements of today and for sure of tomorrow, because we are interested in long-term relationships. So that means, everything is changing, technologies are changing. So is the one or the other supplier, upcoming supplier, is he prepared for these technology changes? We want to avoid that we are just starting a business and then after 2 to 3 years, we have to say, hey, sorry, now we are looking for other technologies and you are not prepared for it. So we are looking for the next supplier. So this is not our interest at CLAAS. So normally we are looking for long-term relationships because in our understanding, we have to offer also some kind of supplier development. We need these qualification processes with qualification engineers, audits at your production site and all the stuff. So that leads to effort. Finally, also means we are spending some money for ramping up a supplier. And for sure, in this context, we are looking for candidates for a long-term relationship, for having joint business for several years and not just for 1 or 2 years. So strategic evaluation, I stated it here a little bit, or I highlighted it here. This is done by the lead buyer, and this is what should be understood from you on your side. In many cases, the entry ticket, because everything started at our commodity strategy, where we are saying, hey, okay, we are looking in this and that segment for this and that supplier profile. Who might be, who have perhaps the best fit to this requested supplier profile. On the right side of the slide, you see the different criteria. So, and we are using these criteria for a first internal assessment if a supplier is appropriated for us. And on the other side, we are using also these criteria for a yearly supplier evaluation. So every year, we are evaluating our supplier base internally, cross-functional, not just the lead buyer. So also the guys from logistics, for instance, service department, after-sales service, and so on. They are doing their evaluation and their rating for the supplier, and then they are sending it out as a consolidated report on a yearly basis to all of the suppliers, that the supplier gets a good impression about our understanding of the business relationship. Is the performance level on an appropriate level? Should we discuss about the one or the other topic to find some solutions for some mishappenings, something like that. So as I said, criteria for the supplier selection, so ramping up a supplier, but also for our supplier evaluation on a yearly basis to provide structured feedback to our suppliers, to provide also the chance for some kind of self-improvement, which allows us then to stick to long-term relationships. So here you have the general process which we are looking for. So firstly, we are starting normally when it comes to a new supplier with a supplier market analysis. Here you can see also the supplier application again, where I showed you this link to our homepage. If we can't find some data in our supplier application, in our database, then for sure we have to go to some exhibitions, or we have to do some specific market investigations, for instance, done by one of my global sourcing teams in the dedicated regions where we are looking for new suppliers. The direct result is that we are having some kind of that we are having some kind of earning some kind of long list of the suppliers. And then we are starting our supplier qualification process. So after the long list, we have a good impression about potential names, candidates, and then if it comes to a more concrete project, business opportunity, then we are starting with a potential analysis. So that means first supplier visit, having first pre-audit at your site. So what we are doing is your process level on an appropriated level. We are doing in parallel the so-called RFI, request for interest. So that means the first commercial quote is requested, because we want to clarify if your commercial price level is on the expected and respected level. And then we are gaining our qualified shortlist. So if we have the qualified shortlist, then in general you are prepared for the next RFQs. In this phase, you would get, for instance, a creditor number in our SAP system, which is in general the first main hurdle to become really considered an operative business in new projects, in new RFQs, requests for quotes. So this is the first bubble here. So when we are getting quotations out of this process, then we are doing our cross-functional technical commercial assessment. So that's then really not done by one person. So then we are having a joint meeting with our colleagues, and then we are studying jointly technical-wise your quotation and also commercially. Then we are doing our rating. So, and finally, hopefully we are having then a good internal alignment, who should be our target supplier. In this phase, when we are aligned internally, then we are starting the VDA 6.3 audit. So that's a specific audit requirement which we are using across over the world, especially when it comes to global sourcing regions, to ensure that we are getting the appropriate quality level from each and every of the suppliers. So, and then supplier selection, if the VDA 6.3 audit is passed, supplier selection is done, is finalized, contracting starts for a long-term agreement, for instance, and then we are ramping up the supplier with a dedicated ramp up for the one or the other, for instance, let's say new combine application, which we are ramping up in our production. So that's all to come from, let's say, from a market analysis to active business. So behind all of these bullet points, we have different processes which we are considering, but on a one pager, I have to say these are these typical steps which you can find inside CLAAS. And as I said it, I'm pretty sure you will find similar steps at each and every company which is in a similar size than we are across over the world. So last but not least, this is our 3D classification. So finally, all of our active suppliers are classified in 3 acronyms. So here we have, as an example, AAA. So that means the first acronym stands for this strategic classification. So I explained it, normally done by the lead buyer with his core team members to say, hey, okay, this supplier could be a really good strategic fit for the future. Perhaps we don't have currently a concrete project on hand, but in general, this is one of our target suppliers for the future. So secondly, this second acronym says, or called classification dependency. In this context, we are investigating what could be the share of business. So because we want to be relevant for you as a customer, but on the other side, we don't want to be, for instance, the only one. So somebody could say, hey, okay, some kind of exclusivity, having some kind of exclusive partner for this and that might be interesting. We at CLAAS are saying everybody in these times has to take his own burden, right? So when the market is struggling, so then we have to take care about our business on our side. On the other side, if then we have an enlarged supplier base, which is mainly linked to our business success, then we know that the suppliers are directly also struggling. So, and this should be avoided. So we want to be interesting and relevant for the suppliers, but on this other side, we don't want to have this high range of dependency. So some companies in automotive segment are looking more into this dependency. They want to have this dependency because and then they can use the pressure on the suppliers, and they can say, hey, okay, you have to accept that we just pay this and that price, because they know that the dependency on the supplier side is really increased. We don't want to have it. We want to have real partnerships and a joint success story. For sure, all of it has to be efficient. So we, as the customer, have to be efficient because our customers want to be efficient. They are not paying every price. So therefore, our supply base must be also efficient. So that means also, finally, we need good prices. We are in global competition. We have to find solutions, jointly solutions, to be successful. So this is our general understanding of collaborating in a supplier network. Yeah, and third acronym here, last but not least, that's this supplier evaluation. I explained one slide before, or 2 slides before, where I said here you can see some kind of criteria. I highlighted the strategic ones here. We have also criteria for quality. We are measuring quality level in PPM ratings. We have also fulfillment rates for logistics and so on. Everything is steered and controlled by system, by SAP. So, and all of this we are putting at the final fiscal year end in one report, and then we are forwarding these reports to our suppliers, and want to have then on base of these reports a good open-minded and discussions where we are and what we can do jointly to improve our success story to go to take the next step. That's all from my side here. So thank you very much. Hopefully this gives you a rough impression about our overall approach of purchasing inside CLAAS. And as I said it, I think that's not just a standalone for CLAAS. In my experience, I worked for a few other companies also. This is also the same understanding in nearly every global acting company, and for sure also here for German companies. So, Leana.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Frings, for this very, very interesting presentation, for the interesting insights. Yeah, it's pretty much information, and we could see how really complicated the system is, and how many processes are behind the curtains that we don't see or we don't know.
Yeah.
So well. So it was really interesting for me too. And I think it helps to understand how can the companies set themselves up and be well prepared for the cooperation and to become suppliers for the German companies, because our companies, our Estonian companies, are very interested. They are also very well prepared and well set up. We could see they are in your extended Eastern European region as one global sourcing region too. So I see a lot of potential, and now maybe know better how to do it or how to go on to get a partner from you. But I have one question too in the Q&A for you. Maybe we take it right now. So we have one company who writes that he has already set up the application via your supplier database, and he writes you have accepted them as a supplier. I don't know how does it look like, but it was some months ago, and he hasn't heard any, hasn't get any feedback or RFQ from your side. Can you say once more how long do such processes take normally? What is the time perspective maybe?
Yeah. That's a really valid and really good and fair question. To be honest, I don't have a clear answer to it. because yeah, hopefully you got it. I explained it a little bit on base of one of my slides. When a supplier is registered in the system and getting a positive signal, then firstly, it means the first hurdle is taken. So these KO criteria, as I stated, are completely fulfilled, and there is no KO. So that means you are welcome for further approach. So that's all in this step. So when it comes to the question, okay, when I get the first quote, then I have to say it depends on the commodity and on the projects which we are currently having. So on the one side, normally, let's say you have two perspectives in purchasing. On the one side, I can have a look in our product roadmap and our development projects. So what are new upcoming products? And I'm looking for perhaps one of our established suppliers or a new one for a new product, right? A supplier who can escort us in our development process and directly being the right supplier first time right when we're starting the production the first time. In this context, I have to say we are not automotive. So our product life cycle is, I would say, in the average 6-7 years. So we are not bringing every 2 to 3 years complete new products on the market. So on the other side, we have some kind of, we call it in purchasing reallocations. So that means reallocations, we have an established serial product. And then our task here, me as a purchaser, is we have to ensure our competitiveness. We have to ensure that we are buying and purchasing on a really efficient level. So that means we are looking into our established supply base for the one or the other product which we have in serial. And then we are saying, here we lost the competitiveness. We have to reflect, firstly, with the current supplier, what we can do. But finally, if there is no chance to close the gap, then we have to rethink about a new RFQ during the life cycle. And then we need some kind of reallocation to another supplier in the period of an ongoing serial production. So this is this reallocation. So, but I think you understand that this is triggered by an internal request. So, yes. So the R&D guy says, perhaps, hey, okay, we have quality problems with the one or the other suppliers, and no chance to find better solutions with this partner. We need a new partner. Would be one trigger point. I can't say this will be on tomorrow or in the next month. The other topic can be that a product unit, which is responsible for the one or the other product type, for instance, the biggest combine type, it's a Lexion. This is one product range. There's one product unit behind it. So, and the head of this product unit says, we are losing money. Our end customers are not paying what we thought initially. So therefore, we have to find optimization in our cost structure. So let's find more efficient suppliers. Could be another trigger point. So, but then the question is, what is dedicated or what is investigated as a potential lever for this and that specific product? So therefore, I don't have a typical timeline on hand. Yeah. It might happen that you register and no KO criteria, and then you are getting an RFQ or let's say an RFI, a call in the next 2 to 3 weeks. It might also happen that you don't hear anything for 2 years. So it depends on the specific product pipeline, which we are considering internally, and on the specific demands and requests which we are having. And these are totally different in the different commodities.
Okay, I see. But is it so that every applicant who applies over this database will become a feedback somehow, some feedback, or is it also, I don't know how it is, if you apply and you are suitable as the KO criteria are not are okay, then you get like the first feedback.
Then you're getting the first feedback, and in your example, I understood that this supplier already got the information, then everything is fine. So, and now he is, let's say, waiting for an RFQ. So, and if there is an RFQ, which might be relevant, then you are getting a note for it, for sure. But if there is no, if there's no RFQ currently on hand, so no direct business opportunity is visible for us, then for sure you are not getting in a regular sequence a notification about it. So then if you don't hear something, then it means currently there's no demand. This is the conclusion.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So we must a little bit hurry up to go to our presentation. Maybe we can discuss later on some things. Martin, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you.
You can share your screen now.
So hopefully you are seeing it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much to Mr. Frings for very good insights about the processes behind German purchasing. I personally have to say that I had very many familiarities there, and have gone through those processes quite on a few occasions. Yeah, but I'm trying now to maybe talk about little about our experiences on the German market. So yeah, a little intro maybe. Who am I, and why maybe I was asked to present here. My educational background comes from mechanical engineering and business administration, and I've been the CEO of Tech Group since 2010. And during that time, we've grown the business tenfold, and the focus has always been on exports. So we are, depending on the year, we are exporting up to 95% of our production. And for me, this relationship between sales guys and purchasing is also very interesting, because I've also sat on the opposite side of the table and held positions in purchasing also. And in addition, in Tech Group, purchasing is also really critical part of our operations. So yeah, a few sentences about Tech Group to understand better the background. We are a one-stop shop for industrial engineering, machine building, and factory automations. We are the creators of clever machines, and we make the machines happen. And yeah, we have gained experience for almost 20 years, and we have quite a trustworthy track record, I'd suggest, at least. Business-wise, we have two business units. One is machine building, where we help develop and build machine for other tech companies and machine builders. There we help them with both engineering and design of their machines and the production. Other part of our business is factory automation, where we make tailor-made factory automation solutions, including robotics and various other automation technologies. Some quick facts and figures. As mentioned before, we're almost 20 years of age, located here in Tallinn, next to our airport. And today we are roughly 100 people strong. So a little smaller than our previous presenter, but still, yeah, we are quite happy with it. 2020 sales was roughly 80 million euros. We took a little hit from COVID. We had a small decline, but yeah, we are seeing that this year we will have a really nice growth, and then all the future forecasts are also quite optimistic. And yeah, as mentioned before, we are exporting quite a lot, over 90%, and then Germany is our main market, also Finland and other Scandinavian markets are where we are exporting to. Yeah, about the experience with German companies. First of all, I'd like to say that I really like dealing with Germans. At least my experience has been really a nice one, at least up to now. And if we think business-wise, then of course, Germany as a market for industrial companies, it's the European and the global powerhouse. So business-wise, it's a really nice market to be at. Today, maybe I'm not going to share some theoretical or textbook overview of sales techniques or how to penetrate the German market, but maybe some ideas and some ideas and pointers what I might think could be useful for Estonian companies going there. You have to consider that the experience I have is from my niche market, meaning that we are delivering tailor-made projects, prototypes, product development projects, small series machines. It's not mass production. So it might be different from electronics manufacturing services market or some mass metal fabrication. But all in all, I think the overall ideas are the criteria are universal. So when I think about what's special about German companies, then yeah, as Mr. Frings also mentioned before, that maybe German companies are a little more administrative than some other markets. But for me, my experience is that there's no German purchasing manager or German company. It's more about the company size and the culture that demonstrates that, rather than the location itself. And again, my experience comes from smaller German companies. Our biggest German customers, they turn over maybe up to a few hundred million euros annually, not the billions as CLAAS does. But yeah, and sometimes they are startups who are just ramping up their operations. So yeah, the size is really a critical aspect, I think. And when Estonian companies want to go to Germany, then I would really highlight that this aspect has to be thought of. Who are you targeting? What is the size of the company, and then the maturity of the company you are targeting? Because as Mr. Frings previously also said, that yeah, there are many criteria you have to fill if you want to deal with global conglomerates. The next bullet point, yeah, it's going to be a really big waste of time if you can't highlight what you're really great at. Your product or service, or what are you offering, it has to stand out. Yeah. In some aspects. Is it then the price, or is this service somehow better, faster, or yeah, or is it business-wise? You have to have this unique selling point. Otherwise, yeah, German market is really tough, and yeah, even competing with other European markets or countries. As Mr. Frings highlighted, this extended Eastern European part. We have there Poland and the Czech Republic, and then countries that are more closer geographically to Germany. I think the price level there is also a bit lower already. Estonia's price level has increased. You have to think hard about your unique selling point and how can you bring the value to your customer. We might think here in Estonia that we are a really cool Nordic country and really advanced and everything. But there's a huge amount of people in Europe, in Germany, who will shrug their shoulders when you say that you're coming from Estonia and you want to offer them something. They think of Estonia that it's somewhere near Russia, East European, ex-Soviet bloc country, and everything what comes with it. Poor quality, all these things. You have to think really hard and turn this around. Turn this to your benefit. Out-German the Germans, as I put it. You have to be really precise, really professional, really good in your communication in everything. Up to the situation where, for example, you get the company visit. They are coming to evaluate you. You've gone over the first hurdles, and then now the potential customer is coming for your factory visit and audit. Then plan this in every detail, that they will get this really, really great experience from this. So all the small things, they matter, and then this create this whole big picture. Winning trust and gaining trust, this is crucial, not only in Germany, but it's universal. But I think this is maybe something that I find this particularly important in Germany. And one part of it is your technical capabilities, and then to have the resources needed. But on the other hand, as important as your technical capabilities, it's you as a person. You have to be trustworthy. You have to convince that you are able to deliver on what you promise. So when dealing with German companies, I think it's more or less the same everywhere, that on the opposite side of the table, there are not only purchasers, there are other key persons as well. There are, depending on your business, there are engineering, production, quality, different departments. You have to convince them all. So this is really critical. In addition to your technical capabilities, you have to convince that you are the partner they want to cooperation for years to come. So really critical to gain that. Always you have to do your homework and be super thorough in that. That's a no-brainer. But one thing that I'd like to say that in addition to these hygiene things that we always say, that the technology competence certifications, also Mr. Frings previously highlighted, the main thing here is to understand the industry of your customer and the company of the customer. The more you can find out, the better you can present the value you can create or bring to your customer. Where is the company or industry in terms of life cycle? Is the industry scaling up, or is it already mature and maybe in decline? Therefore, there are different aspects what you can highlight in your value prop. If you understand that, for example, the customer is their technology is being validated on the market, and it's going to ramp up, then it's one thing. If it's a mature and declining market, and importance is on price and the customer has lost its competitiveness, the pressure point is there. You have to understand to present this value and then understand better how to get this partnership. Yeah, there's be prepared is for the negotiations always essential. That's critical. You and your team have to be able to answer every little detail. You are gaining trust or building trust here. You have to be trustworthy. Whether it's the initial discussions about the future cooperation or you're introducing your possible references or capabilities, or is it the final negotiations? Know your stuff. That's really, really, really critical. And this brings me to the next point. Always keep in mind what value you can bring to the customer. This is something I often see with local Estonian suppliers. When offering something, they tend to concentrate on their technical capabilities and what they are able to deliver, but not so much maybe on the value they can bring to the customer. Mr. Frings also highlighted in his presentation that it's the how was it, innovation and motivation in the supplier evaluation, that you have to be able to think with the customer how to get their business better. Yeah, and then when you've done your homework good, you have at least some sort of idea what to highlight in terms of delivering that value. And my experience is that if you're having conversations with customers based on this value side, customers also open up much more. And then you can spot what are the real challenges there, what are the real aims and targets of the customer. And in addition to designing your value proposition accordingly, you should always think how you can bring value not only to the company as a whole, but for the people involved. How can you make the lives easier for those parties involved, those purchasers or engineering guys or production or business people involved? How they can concentrate on adding their real value, you take care of all the rest. Yeah, that's the thing there. And yeah, growing the business, that's maybe one of my favorite parts of the business. You've given the opportunity to prove yourself, and now you have to be able to deliver on this. This is really essential. Again, the aim should be always to deliver more and more value to your customer. This has to be in focus in everything. Of course, you have to separate that. You have to have this delivery side in mind, and also the business development side in mind. In both, you have to be exceptional. Continuous improvement initiatives, yeah. Be beneficial to your customer. Bring something to the table. In recent years, more and more, we see this collaborative product development projects. As Mr. Frings also mentioned, that nowadays, typically, the customers aren't developing their products or processes by themselves. they invite the suppliers also to that, to participate, because suppliers know best their part of that. They are the experts in their specific field. And you have to use that knowledge. Whether it's a price, or is it some engineering solution, or is it quality, or is it throughput time in production? Many different criteria. Know your offering, be proactive, think what you can improve, and bring this up with the customer proactively. That's really critical here. Brainstorm with customers, suggest ideas. They might not always fly, but customers always appreciate this really highly. If you bring ideas to the table, don't be passive and wait for customer to ask that, okay, we have to do something. If your aim is to build long-term partnerships and then cooperations, then yeah, this is the only way forward, I think. At least this has benefited us, I think, in past years. Communication, yeah, it's critical in every relationship, yeah, and not only in business. In addition to open and honest communication, you need to get to know your customer more, understand the decision-making process, the critical persons in the organizations whose opinion matter in those decision-making processes. Because if you know them, you can understand their challenges, their hesitations, their risk assessments, and you can address them. Yeah. So yeah, I think that growing the business is really a mindset. Yeah, you have to be continuously thinking of the value you are bringing to the customer, and you have to be persistent, analytical, and yeah, deliver. That's how easy it is. So yeah, to wrap this up, yeah, I think that Germany as a market is very, very lucrative for Estonian companies. But before you enter it, you have to think hard. Do you have a unique selling point, or is your product or service, at least in some aspect, really good, attractive to the potential customer? Because the competitiveness there is huge. But if you have this, and if you believe in your product, then yeah, go for it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You are at the end of the presentation, I see. Or what did you want to say? Anything else? No.
Yeah, no, not in particular. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Sutrop, for these very, very interesting points and for highlighting them. I think, yeah, these are also very, very important things to know, to be considered for the companies who want to enter the German market, to become a supplier for German companies and so on. I can only agree with you about the German culture, about the German thinking, but maybe you are right. It's just a normal business doing. It's not so German specific at all. It's if you want to go to the international markets, you must have your unique selling point. You must do much homework on your own before you enter the market at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
It's
we have one question. There is a question for you. What have been your biggest problems when exporting to Germany?
biggest problems, challenges, you say, not problems.
Challenges.
There are no problems,
Sounds
only challenges. Yeah, of course. it's in our business, it's winning the trust, because what we are delivering in Germany, most of our business is this machine building business, where we cooperate with technology companies in developing their machines, for example. And then if we enter a cooperation, then this means that our customer trusts us with basically building their product. It's a huge leap. And then winning that trust and that we are a reliable, trustworthy partner, this is always crucial.
I see. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for this answer. We have heard the both presentations. We have now some time left for some more questions or for the discussion. I would like to start with one question to you both. Maybe at first, Mr. Frings. As a result of the pandemic, many companies have started to reconsider or restructure their global supply chains. So I've heard about it. And I would like to ask you, what about CLAAS company? How has the pandemic influenced your company, your global supply chains so far, if it has changed anything? And what do you think? Will European suppliers become more relevant again? Or will the role of China, India recover?
Yeah, so for sure we had and we still have some implications out of COVID, that's for sure. So to be honest, it was just one time, I think in the first wave, before summertime last year, we had production stop in 3 of our facilities for 2 weeks, I think. But that was all. So that means all in all, for such size of company which we are, we had a chance, because of a really good evaluated and established supply chain, to catch up the main risks. So if we consider now more than 1 year of pandemic issues, then I have to say 2 weeks of shutdown in the production is not really much. So there are other companies which had much more problems than we. One personal lessons learned, or I have to say, perhaps not personal lessons learned. So when it starts with COVID, there were not just few internal colleagues from other departments who said, "Hey, okay, now you are getting back. What you won with your global sourcing initiatives." Because, for instance, a German engineer working in the R&D department normally likes to be creative. He wanna be he wanna be the superior in development, and therefore he likes to have direct interactions on a daily basis with his colleagues on the supplier side. And therefore there are still a lot of people in R&D, so from my own perspective, who don't want to have a business with foreign suppliers, because you have sometimes the time zones, you have sometimes the issue of the language. It's more comfortable to speak in German, for instance, or at least in English. So everything which brings a little bit more challenge in this topic is normally, especially from the technicians, not really the best approach. So therefore, especially out of this cross functions, there were a lot of hints in context of Corona who said, "Hey, okay, and now everything is crashed because, or will crash because we are pushing global sourcing initiatives with foreign suppliers during the last years so hard. So and now we are in this pandemic situation." And the final result was the main props which we had in the last year started with Italy. So it it was not Eastern Europe, it was not India, it was not China. So we were struggling because of, I can directly tell it, it was mechanical gearboxes out of Italy. Because everybody of us knows Italy had these really hard situation at the beginning of last year. So, and all of these suppliers, which we are using for mechanical parts, is especially in context of drivelines, gearboxes, were located in North Italy. So nobody before Corona thought Italy or Austria or France will be one of our stress factors when it comes to such an issue. And we never had a shortfall out of deliveries out of India or China, for instance. There was no shortfall. And there's one reason behind it. When you have to consider this huge kilometers between the different regions, then you have to consider other logistic processes and also timelines, lead times. And in this lead time calculations, you normally have some buffers. So for instance, if we are using shipments out of India and China, then you are looking for containers. Then you still have these bunkering stocks for some packaging topics because of utilization of the containers and the ships and so on. If you are going local, even if you are located in Germany like we are, or in France or wherever, then normally all of these high sophisticated production sites want to have just-in-time deliveries or just-in-sequence deliveries, right? Because you don't have these huge areas for storage and so on. So normally everything which is close to you, you want to have these high sophisticated and logistic concepts with just-in-sequence, just-in-time deliveries. With containers, it doesn't work. But if you're considering containers, then you are directly earning a minimum security stock of 6 weeks, because a ship needs 6 weeks across the ocean to provide you the requested components. So, and if you can use these time frames now in a stressful situation, then you have some chances to optimize your supply chain in a way which is not on hand if you are already in these high sophisticated stress timelines, if you have in just-in-sequence and so on. So therefore, coming back to your question, 2 conclusions. So it's not a no-go or not an additional hurdle to go for foreign countries, suppliers located in foreign countries because of Corona. For sure, what we are doing is some kind of additional risk assessment. So I think companies in our range are doing it on a regular basis now. So if they haven't done it before, now they are doing it, because you have the sensitive supply chains, and without any goods, you can't produce anything. So therefore, everybody has to take care about it. This is currently really highlighted. So risk assessment. And there are 2 main answers, or 2 main questions. The first question is, which suppliers and which commodities are critical, and we have to take care about it. So sometimes we are talking about foreign suppliers, but sometimes we are talking about suppliers which are close to us here, for instance, Italy. So therefore, there's no burden, I would say, for Estonian suppliers, for instance. What for sure is currently a topic in a company which, in the size which we are. So you are, hopefully it sounds not so arrogant, but I think we are really have professional company with really professional structures also in purchasing. But it's not possible for us to have for each and every component a double sourcing strategy. So a company like Mercedes-Benz could say, for each and every single part number, I can establish 2 suppliers. So if the one supplier is out of the game because of pandemic issues, or I don't know, earthquake or something like that, then I have another in backend. we can go global, but we can't have this double sourcing each and every time, because for instance, if you are looking in some commodities where you need toolings, then these toolings are so expensive, it's not possible to go in each and every case for double or multiple sourcing. So that means I have a one-to-one relationship with one supplier. So that's also the reason why we are investigating and qualifying our suppliers in this hard way, because we want to have the security that out of our current understanding, every risk can be covered, can be managed by this supplier. So here, Martin, for instance, I heard what you said. So you are a technology company. I'm pretty sure one of your main burden is that on the one side, you have high sophisticated stuff, but on the other side, you are not this big player. So you are a smaller company. So, and then you need some trust in your business setup in general. Is this the partner which has all the processes in this complex world under control? For export business, what's about the logistics? Do you have an export for it? What's about the language? What's about the commercial processes? Are you capable and prepared for export business with foreign partners? One of the key questions. So this might be one burden for you. So for us here, it means in risk assessment, we are currently a little bit more looking into this topic, single sourcing, double sourcing. So we can't do it for each and every component. In former times, in many cases, the answer was we are qualifying and then we are sure that we can stick to single sourcing. And now we have to say it's not possible for each and every component, but perhaps we have to think about really sensitive components, lessons learned out of Corona, where we have to go for double sourcing. That means for established suppliers, some risk, because if they are single sourcing supplier at the moment, then perhaps they are losing some volumes against a new upcoming additional supplier. For totally new suppliers, an additional opportunity, right? Because we are spreading our volumes for this and that component, I don't know, 70% to 30%, 50-50, something like that, doing some kind of allocation. So it depends. If you are an established supplier, it's some kind of risk. If you are a totally new supplier, might offer you new opportunities if you are able to show that you are stable and you can manage also these difficult situations as we have on today. So what's about your business setup? What's about your supply chain stability? Have you an appropriated tier 2 supplier management in-house? Because it's also our risk. I'm buying at you, but if you're tier 2, so if your supply chain is not stable, then you are struggling, then I am struggling. So if you can provide some trust in it and you can show it, like Martin explained it to you, so showing your professionality and so on. So then I think it's on today not a worse situation for new suppliers.
Okay, that's a really good message for our companies. Thank you very much. Martin, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I think the issues Mr. Frings said that are all very relevant. And one thing that I think from our perspective, the COVID situation highlighted is how intertwined those supply chains are. In our business, for example, we don't have only standard products that we can buffer, for example, those critical components. We have different projects, different machines, which require very different type of parts and components. And even if we've selected some really global brands for those, and still they are maybe producing their controllers in Germany, but still the components are coming from all over the world. And we are seeing huge challenges in terms of delivery times and lead times. It's even getting more and more critical. All this chip crisis currently and everything. So
okay, thank you very much for your answer too. Unfortunately, we have to come to the end because our time is over. It was very, very interesting for me, and I hope for all our participants. Thank you so much, Mr. Frings, Mr. Sutrop, for sharing your experience, for your insights. And I would like to thank you all for the participation. And for the closing words, I would like to hand it over to Karin.
Yes, thank you. We will provide all the attendees with recording and with slides, and you can watch the previous purchasing seminar in our web too. So thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you, Mr. Frings, and thank you, Martin. Let's stay in touch and have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.